Hey everybody, we are Pen and Pole DFS. I'm Ricky.
I'm Keaton.
And we're going to be talking to you today about some more PGA, the Players' Championship.
The Players' Championship.
All capital letters, but we're not going to yell it, unlike
I was
we were
told
doing
I was
in pregame.
not allowed to yell the Players' Championship to emphasize the all capitals.
But yeah, TPC Sawgrass, definitely a fun course. I mean, I think everyone knows the one hole, but that we'll be talking about in a minute, number 17. But just a lot of really fun holes that are mostly only fun watching other people play and would be terrible to actually have to play because there's just so much water.
Classic course from the Tiger Woods video games as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which is basically the only reason why I even know the course more than just passively watching it. But anyway, so before we get into the recap, we're gonna talk about our show beer. We are is the Hopness Haze IPA from Catawba. Catawba, a truly North Carolina brewery.
Our Charlotte.
Of course, I think they also have a Charleston.
Or it might be
I think they're originally out of Morganton.
Okay.
They've got tap rooms in Asheville. They've got one obviously here in Charlotte. I want to say they have one in Charleston. So maybe they're just a truly Carolina beer.
There you go. The one in Charlotte's fantastic, though.
Yeah, the one in Charlotte's awesome. It is very, very cool. I think it's one of their latest ones. So as breweries get bigger, they get bigger.
So next week I'm going to remember to add a slide for our beer of the week.
Yeah. If you're looking to the right, you're going to be like, why are we watching these guys? They don't win anything. But that's just a this week thing. Normally I lose a lot. And normally he wins a lot.
No, DFS is a lot of variance, so this is a pretty normal week.
This is not a pretty normal week.
In between the ups and downs, this is a normal. I lost about 20% of what I put in play. And Ricky, what'd you lose? About 1% of what you put in play?
I lost $3.
$3.
I was, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but my teams in the birdie, so the 20 entry. I had 9 lineups placed.
Okay. How many of them were 6 of 6s?
I had like 6 or 7 6 of 6s.
So
I was doing
huge.
Great going into Saturday.
That's huge.
And then every single person that was on my team just played awful the rest of the weekend.
And Sunday was, we saw everyone play pretty terrible on Sunday.
It didn't matter at that point.
Saturday killed it.
Yeah. No one really came alive, and it was fine. But yeah, so... it was really interesting. It was one of those where going into Saturday, I thought that I think I was on track to win at least 50-60% of what or more than I put in, and I was pumped. And then everyone just kind of played it wasn't necessarily that they played bad. Some of them played bad. So Hovland that had a bad Saturday Sunday, but a lot of my guys just none of them made the push that you obviously need to be able to do that.
Pace the field.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, the only person that did anything for me was Patrick Harrington, who we didn't necessarily talk about on this show last week, but I came into really late, and Keaton made fun of me the entire time, calling him old and a journeyman.
To be fair, he is old and he is a journeyman.
He's won 3 majors. 3 majors. And he's the Ryder Cup captain for Europe.
He definitely returned some value. So some of the guys that hurt me, I had about 15% Oosthuizen, and we know he withdrew.
I had a couple of
So I was a little over the field. I think I field owned him at about 11% clip. Yeah. So it hurt me a little more than the field. I had Sam Burns, who we'll talk about later on. I'm still going to be high on Sam Burns this week, but I had Sam Burns in about 35% of my lineups, and him missing the cut after a heroic effort to start the day on Friday, coming back from +5 all the way to +1 at that cut line.
He fell back down
just to go right back to +5. So,
I will say my best lineups. I don't know if they ended up being my best lineup, but definitely in my top 2 or 3 lineups was a 5 out of 6 lineup with Patrick Reed being the 6th person who barely missed the cut.
Oh,
if he could have got in, if he could have got in, I would have been.
Because he could have put a show on Saturday and Sunday if he had made that cut.
Yeah, everyone would have hated it, but yeah, he's +3.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I was happy with getting people through, and unlike last week, not straight up losing. That was
the 6 of 6 percentage was huge.
I got 7 out of 24, I believe. I had 24 total lineups, and I had 7 of them get 6 out of 6 through. And so that should have set me up better than it actually ended up.
It really should have, yeah.
It was really just one of those things where it just wasn't my week, and that I got the guys through, and they just kind of floundered going through.
So you booked a lot of min cashes rather than anything up the board.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't necessary, and there was a little bit of that, but also the big guys also didn't necessarily. My big guys didn't necessarily perform on Saturday, Sunday, right? Like I had a lot of Hovland.
Yeah.
I had a decent amount of Rory, who played well, but didn't push up to.
He went down the leaderboard instead of up. Yeah.
And so even I definitely had a few guys that were much more like middle of the of the cut guys type stuff, but also I my guys underperformed a little bit on Saturday, Sunday that probably should have done a little bit better. So moving on to this week, we are playing
next one.
in Florida again. How long is this Florida swing?
Florida swing, I believe, is 4
probably
tournaments.
Just,
so I
probably
believe
just
one
until
more
they play
after
the Masters.
this. And then I guess Masters is April 8th. So we have 1 to 2 more events here probably, and then on to the Masters. Yeah.
So past winners, that's interesting. All of these guys are going to be featured heavily as we talk about later. At least the winners.
Yeah, I think prior course is big at this course.
No Furyk this week, so I won't be pumping him.
No more journeyman. Who's your journeyman of the week, Ricky? I feel
Furyk
like
is not a journeyman.
A segment.
This is
Ricky's
awful.
Journeyman of the week.
I'm looking straight into the camera.
Where Ricky promotes guys like Ian Poulter.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you get somebody who didn't used to like golf and didn't grow up watching golf, and then he acts like he's Mr. Know-It-all.
If they haven't won a tournament in the last year, they're journeyman.
These people. Anyways, nonetheless, but Rory Webb, Sue Kim, you see Oosthuizen there, Xander Schauffele, Ian Poulter is even on the
list.
That's
what I'm saying. I know. He could be your journeyman of the week.
Actually, I don't know. We'll see as we're talking through it, which guys I like versus which guys Keaton likes a little bit more.
Oosthuizen's interesting this week with the withdrawal last week. We don't really have any information. It's not like NFL where we get injury reports. So we don't know if it was injury-related withdrawal or if he just decided. If he's playing
this week, he's fine.
That's what my thought is. If he's in the field and I guess you have a small
he's not
risk
gonna
that he withdraws again, right? It feels unlikely, but I guess there is that possibility. But I think the field will under-own him this week.
Yeah, especially with how well he played.
Yeah, and he's in great form. Maybe he just wanted a rest week, and he's going to come out hot here at this course. So he's someone I'll probably have in my lineup. Maybe not at 15% like last week.
Your camera's getting tilty there, man.
All right, I'll try not to bounce.
It's fine. You see it hopping up in the air. We're still getting through all of the learning curve on the cameras and that type of thing. If you see anything that could help us in that type of thing, comment below.
Absolutely.
Also is
like
a thumbs up. It's not really a like on YouTube, I guess.
But leave us a comment and let us know your play of the week down below and your DraftKings username so that we can friend you and watch you. Although I found out friending really doesn't do as much as Ricky and I had thought it would.
I was hoping that you could see the common people. So maybe that's actually what we end up doing is just creating a new DraftKings that has more. User friendly, basically the Facebook.
I feel like they're first to the
Facebook
market.
To the MySpace of DraftKings. A little bit more user interaction, more social features. You know what gamblers love.
That's what I want in my gambling.
You know what gamblers love. Socializing, just so much more socializing. Anyways, on to the next slide as well. We're gonna be talking about the course again. If you've ever played any Tiger Woods PGA game, you've played this course a lot.
Yeah, it's a Pete Dye designed course. Looking at the weather this week, it looks like we're going to have clear weather, hopefully. Last week, I know we saw on Sunday, weather got bad, scores got rough, and it really was an interesting finish to that tournament. But right now, it looks like we're going to have clear weather down in Florida. And so this is a course that's interesting. It is a similar skill set to last week, but I think it favors accuracy off the tee rather than driving distance. So
there's more water, right? There's
a lot more water. I think there's water on 17 of 18 holes, possibly 16 of 18 holes. Yeah. So I think there's a high variance. We see guys, quote unquote, eject at any point. We saw Rahm, I believe it was in 2019, Sunday, hole 11, put 3 in the water, and that was the end of his Sunday. And so it's a fun course, but this is one where you could have a lot of big name guys potentially miss the cut, and you could end up with a really low 6 of 6 percentage. And so I'm looking a little more to a balanced build, a little less investing my money all the way up top. We'll talk about kind of general strategy as we go through later.
When you say that, are you looking at just getting more like, $8,000-$9,000 guys, or are you looking at getting different guys at the top?
So a little bit of both. So I'm mixing and matching the guys I have at the top because I think there is not necessarily one clear guy I feel comfortable hanging my hat on. I think we'll talk about there's some guys that stick out as just screaming values. But I think the field as a whole probably sees the screaming values the same as we do. So really I am looking to mix and match at the top. But also to that point, more guys in the 9s, 8s, and 7s range, probably having less guys down in the 6 range, looking to give myself a better chance at a comfortable 6 of 6, or maybe not a comfortable 6 of 6, but a better chance at a 6 of 6 in a course that does have a little bit of randomness.
Yeah. And that's the thing that just looking through, I did some hand builds this morning, and the thing that jumps out at me is that there's so many people in that 7 to 8, even 9 range where you can build that a roster where on most normal weeks you'd be like, I'm pumped to have this roster. There's definitely a softening of the pricing side to a point where it's good and bad. You feel better about it, but that also means that everyone's going to also feel better about it. So you probably are lulled into a sense of
and the cynic in me thinks that's probably DraftKings doing that intentionally. You'll see the prize pools this week are all inflated.
I mean, it's the 5th biggest tournament of the year.
It's the 5th biggest. It's also the biggest dollar tournament of the year in terms of the prize pool for the players. And so we have huge prize pools on DraftKings. Yep. And so to hit those huge prize pools, I think they do relax the pricing so that you can build more lineups that you feel good about. But I think that also gives us an opportunity to get different than the field. Yep. I think some of those super premium guys may go under-owned. I don't love DJ, but if he's going to come in sub 10% ownership, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case this week. But, I mean,
it's hard to ever see DJ coming in.
I know he's a favorite of a lot of people. But any of those upper tier guys, we'll look at the tiers here in a minute, but any of those 11 and 10K guys that are going to be under-owned, I'll probably just let the ownership dictate who I'm going to play at the top more than anything.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, we said we'd talk about it, and here we are. 17 is probably one of, if not the most distinctive hole in all of golf.
I think that's probably true.
I think it's probably.
And we have an interesting March tournament this year. They also play this course in May sometimes. And I guess the wind direction is different in March versus May, so we have more of a headwind on this hole.
Well, they moved it to March in, 2019, I believe. Okay.
And so maybe we'll have a few more guys coming up short on this hole. It'll be interesting to see.
We'll see. I feel like it's the coolest hole just because you the average golfer is so hard, but then in action most of the time it's not that bad for
these guys
the
are all dropping
golfer. I mean there's tons of balls and waters, and I personally like when they bounce it right off of the wood siding of the island, which is really a peninsula, but that's near or there.
Gotta get to it somehow.
I mean,
we can't be gondola.
You can get a boat, yeah. You get you a boat. Get ready. All right. Anyways,
onto the field.
So 156 golfers. So it's actually more than last week.
Yeah, it's a huge field. This one breaks down. We have winners of the PGA Tour since the last players. And this one's interesting since we stopped in 2019 or 2020. This tournament was stopped after round 1. All the players in the last 2 years that have won on the tour qualified. Okay. So normally this tournament's about 145, 144. We're up to 156 because we have extra winners.
11 random
this
people
year.
Are super pumped.
Also, the top 125 in prior year FedEx Cup. Okay. Past 5 years of major champ winners. Past 3 year of Tour Championship winners. Past 3 years of World Golf Championship winners. The Memorial and the API, the Arnold Palmer from the last 3 years. Top 50 in the World Golf Rankings. A lot of overlap in a lot of these.
Okay.
The Senior Tour Ferry Champion. I'm sorry, Corn Ferry Champion.
Wait, that's not the Seniors Tour?
There's a seniors tour and the Corn Ferry.
Okay.
Let me back it up. There's two. On my notes, there's both.
I've been to some
Corn Ferry tours.
Yeah, I went to one, but it used to be the nationwide tour. That's when I liked it.
And then the last one is the top 10 in the current FedEx Cup. So I imagine, like I said, there's a lot of overlap.
I mean,
we end up with 156.
You get 156 out of like. You just named like 150,000 people.
And we had Brooks withdraw early, so that is
he your one?
Yeah, he's the one that's missing from the top 50.
That was my one question, was whether or not you included him.
Yeah, Brooks withdrew, and then we also had Danny Willett test positive for COVID.
Who again, Keaton, as a person who only started following golf to play DFS and decided to be really good at it and annoy the bejesus out of me. Didn't even know he won the Masters.
Didn't know
it was in 2016. It was only 5 years ago.
Sounds like a journeyman. Sounds like a total journeyman.
So yeah, we noted Brooks had withdrawn.
Yep.
We also, this is one of the things we talked a little bit about last week, was the course itself, and then also guys who are just better in Florida as a whole. So anybody that really jumps out at you on this?
Yeah, Siwoo Kim is someone that is like just play him at Pete Dye courses and then forget about him until the next Pete Dye course. He's won at this course in 2018, I believe. Was that?
He played well at the Genesis.
He's played well sporadically, and his form's not great right now. But he won this course in 2018. He won at the American Express earlier this year, which is another Pete Dye course. We've seen him perform well at these courses, so he'll someone. That's only about 7,200, I believe, that I will have sprinkled in my player pool. Other guys we've seen do well at Pete Dye courses in the past: Adam Scott, DJ, who does well presumably at every course across the field. Webb Simpson, I think his style, he's not like super long off the tee.
Charlotte's own. Or Raleigh's own, depending on if you talk to somebody from Raleigh versus
But
Charlotte.
we'll totally claim him for the purpose of the show. Webb, if you want to come on, let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, his style sorts well because he doesn't necessarily super long off the tee, but he's really good with his irons, and I think that this course, a strong iron play is heavily. Same with Patrick Cantley, another guy that's really strong.
Yeah.
With
I'll be interested to see how Adam Scott does this week, because he's somebody that's.
Can I call him a journeyman?
He's won multiple majors.
Just because you've won majors, it does not mean you aren't a journeyman at a certain point. Can you become? Can you go from elite player down to journeyman?
No.
Well, if you're you're just former elite.
Journeyman is like somebody who just like plays for a long time and never really finds success. Like that's like definitionally of a journeyman.
Stuart Sink.
He got sponsored by Nike though, so like, is he really like? It worked out for him pretty well.
Right,
I mean, he's won stuff, but like that's a better example than like Adam Scott. Are you kidding me? Like, Adam Scott's been so good. Also, Adam Scott, probably one of the best ball striders I've ever seen.
Yeah. That's
possibly
why he makes
ever
this
just
list.
Period.
That's definitely why he
and
makes
it's
this
still
list.
around if he ever just putts well.
And then guys that do well in Florida, we've got down here Rory, Billy Horschel, we talked about last week. Didn't have a great week
He's
last
interesting because he didn't play very well, but he's substantially cheaper this week versus last week. Because last week he was almost 9, right?
And we saw him yell at a fan last week, so who doesn't want to... Yeah, he got into it with a fan last week. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
he told the fan...
They don't even have full capacity, is there?
Yeah, he told him that's why he was on this side of the rope, and that guy could simmer down. It was pretty good. And then Sanjay M, another one that I like.
Sanjay M is just... He's really, really good.
He's really good with his
He's somebody who
really
as being not as big of a fan, or not as as hardcore of a fan, I guess I would say.
Yep.
As somebody who hasn't watched in and out golf, over the past few years, every week, he's somebody that once I've dug back in has been really, really impressive.
Yep.
And I mean he's just good. I'm interested to see how Fleetwood does this week, because he's somebody who can be really, really good.
We saw him play well last week and fade a little bit on Sunday. Sunday was tough conditions, but we did see him play well the first part of the week.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to go back. I think he'll be popular this week.
Probably.
And then down there, Sam Burns.
Also a Nike-sponsored guy.
Really? Who's Sam Burns sponsored by?
TaylorMade, maybe?
Okay.
I'm not sure. That's right.
But I'm willing to go back to Burns, even though he certainly burned me last week. I think in DFS, I've had a lot of success, and I've seen a lot of other people have success with going back to guys that were popular. They were popular last week
Adidas
for a
Callaway.
reason. Okay, Adidas Callaway, perfect. he was popular last week for a reason. He didn't play particularly well.
Speaking of,
didn't putt well at all. But he's someone I'll probably throw back. Maybe not at 35%, but maybe I'll have 20.
You had 35% of him last week.
I did. Yeah,
I had some of him because you talked him up, and then he was on a few of my 5 of 6 rosters.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's not great.
Go back to him this week.
That you made me pull other people off of that did make the cut, and it's fine.
Such as Journeyman Harrington.
No, I pulled none of my Harringtons back. all my Harringtons made it. They were just gleaming. Anyways, so this is the people that you like as far as their approach game.
Well, these are guys that just have a great approach game. So like last week, I think approach game is going to be a big emphasis. Driving distance is less so. Around the green is less so because you have more water, so you really are taking that second shot more than you're taking the around the green shots. And so guys like Hovland, Scheffler, Morikawa, Cantlay, Connors, Simpson, Oosthuizen, and Berger, a lot of the same guys we saw do well last week. Connors had an incredible run.
I was going to ask you about him because he is very cheap.
He putted out of his mind last week. I don't think we can assume he'll get as hot with a putter again. But he's the type of guy, like a lot of these guys down there that their short game is so good or their iron game is so good that if they can get hot, like Morikawa, we saw 2 weeks ago. If he can put a little bit of putting together, like he'll just win the tournament. I think Scotty Scheffler's similar. Victor Hovland, like gosh, if we can see him put a complete 4 days.
I'm still playing him heavy this week, and I think it's going to help a little bit because he had a couple bad days.
Yeah,
but I've remember when he made his first couple starts in like majors when he was still an amateur. Okay. He was out there. He was rocking like the bright orange OK State polo and just like I think he finished like I think at the U.S. Open.
Teens, right?
He finished like T17 as an amateur. He was low amateur at the Masters and the U.S. Open, I believe. And it like
his form is just incredible. Like, watching him warm up,
good.
He just goes through this like mechanical. Like motion that he'll be consistent. Yeah. Although Sunday
I was a little bit surprised by how poorly he played in the bad conditions. I thought his game would hold up a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that being said, with it being clear this week, I think he's somebody that people may be scared off of, but I'm not scared off of.
And that's a chance to strike.
Yeah, and I mean he's probably still going to be like 15-20% on.
That
so
seems
right.
He's just too talented.
Yeah. But yeah. Other people that I see on this list, just looking at it. Again, we talked about Webb. We talked about Scotty Scheffler is somebody who I feel like who's done really well the past few weeks, but we just haven't really talked about.
Yeah, statistically, he's almost the same player as Victor Hovland. Funny, he's slightly less of a putter than Hovland. Hovland's a little bit better.
He wears really baggy shirts.
He might have a dad bod.
I'm not sure he does. I mean, I think he just wears really baggy shirts.
We'll talk to his tailor. Scotty, if you want to talk,
because he wore the on the Sunday at the work day.
Yeah.
He wore the same shirt that Rory wore.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, obviously it looks better on Rory. I don't know.
I think he's
if we have enough people request it, I'll do a fashion segment every week in which I comment
on what people wear on
pros
Sunday.
And cons. Sunday. I mean, if user submitted any of it. Anyways, nonetheless, moving on to actual real golf stuff. So this is the top of the top.
Yeah,
there's only 4, guys. So there's normally a few more over 10.
Yeah,
right?
And to your point, I think they really did price down some guys. They made that $9,000 range.
Yeah, and really we'll talk about that in a minute. And there's guys on there that
if these guys are going to be under-owned, I mean, I think there is a lot of win equity at the top of the board. I think all of these guys can win. I think all of these guys probably carry an outsized share of win equity. And so I will probably be checking ownership when I make my lineups Wednesday night. And if any of these guys look like they're going to be under-owned, I'll probably want to go overweight on the field.
So this is my question on Schauffele.
Yeah.
Xander is so good, but he hasn't necessarily won the amount of tournaments that you see. But if you look at like his fantasy points per game, is that per game?
Yeah.
I don't like that. It should be per tournament. But anyways, nonetheless, it's super high. So what do you think is he's making a lot of birdies and bogeys, or is because he seems really middle like
he doesn't miss the cut and he has a high average finish. I think his average finish is probably like T7 or something.
I mean that's completely fair. He's one of the he's a guy that like you could pick and he's probably going to finish top 10 in.
Yeah, I would assume you have negative. It's negative pricing to bet him to finish in the top 20. I bet you're probably getting like negative 150 or something to bet him in the top 120 or the top 20 of the field.
Say what that means.
To finish in the top 20, negative means so if I have to lay out, if it's negative 150, say, it means I have to bet $150 to win 100. Yeah. Exactly. So Vegas is saying it's more likely than not in that situation. It's more likely than not that he would finish in the top 20 of the tournament. Yeah. And I think like in this type of tournament, that's probably a bad bet because of the variance that's involved. But if you can tell me I can get a little better price, maybe plus 150, where I get $150 for betting 100 for him to finish in the top 10, I might want to take that bet because
and he's pretty cheap.
I mean, all these guys really with the pricing,
right?
Yeah.
Like.
We'll get down there. There's lots of guys in the 7K range that you can round out a roster with.
I think it's good and bad, and especially like I'm going to be and I have a few single entry tournaments.
Yep.
Picking my single entry lineup is going to be really really hard.
Yeah.
And even the 20, I did 20 just by hand, and like I haven't cross-referenced them or anything. But like just building 20 was hard because like there was guys where I
liked or
no, I just built 20 just period. And being able to have like there just still felt like more that I wanted to make on top of this. And like I mean, if anyone watches the NASCAR, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we do the next show. I don't do that. I don't have as much of that in the NASCAR side, even though I still don't seem to be winning. But like here, there really does seem to be so many options that it's like, oh, I could definitely have a Xander Schauffele, and I don't even think in my 20 I might have had like 1 or 2 Xander Schauffele's, and like honestly, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I could have more.
Yeah,
I could have more.
And I think that's exactly what DraftKings does in order to entice people to build lineups, and for them to be able to fill out the the Millie Maker that we see this week.
A little bit of me wants to do like not the Millie Maker because it's just too much money. Yeah. But like one of like the 25 or 50 cent 150 entries. Yeah. And just like see what that 150 looks like. Yeah. Here, might be pretty good because I mean I don't we haven't talked a ton about what we normally do as far as our entries go. Yeah. Keaton is a little bit different than me because he's been doing it longer, so he's he's gonna act like he's just been lucky, but he's good enough that like he's developed a bankroll and that he's able to put more money in every week, and so he's able to play more than I am. But I still play. I play the birdie, so is it $3? $3 entry. So
it's a great tournament. I think 20 max really levels the playing field because normal people can max enter. It only costs you $60 to max enter. No one can put in any more more entries than that. And it still offers a huge first place. I think this week is 20K. Normally it's 10K.
That's a lot, yeah.
But I mean, 2 weeks ago, gosh, I'm bouncing again. I finished 3rd and 5th in the tournament. And it's tough to get through a field like that, but it's got a huge return up top. It's a fun tournament. I think that's one of my favorite tournaments on DraftKings.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a few single entries. And like I said, I'm thinking about maybe doing something like the quarter 150 or I don't know. It's a lot of lineups, but I mean, it's a lot more manageable for more entry people like me. And I mean, I think I'm probably losing more money than most beginners should because I'm dumb.
Paying to learn.
But it's all part of it. Why buy a class when you can just lose money instead?
It is gambling, responsible gambling month. So just throwing that out there.
1-800
Gambler.
So again, last week lost $3, so I'm pretty happy about it.
But so for Ray talking about what he was playing this week, I'm going to play the birdie. I'm also going to max enter the $5 150 max. Drive the green with 100K first place. That is probably one of the most negative EV tournaments on DraftKings, to be honest.
That's your value. That's your expected value.
Yeah, it's probably one of the highest variance tournaments because they're so top heavy. You need to really smash a lineup. But with 150 entries, it's a fun tournament, and who doesn't want to turn $5 into 100K?
I mean, that's fair. I think that's something that, again, maybe not so much on PGA, but I think something I'm definitely going to look more into on the NASCAR side is to play more cash games, some more like 50-50 games.
Even smaller field tournaments are better. You know, like a 500 player tournament, stuff like that.
I don't know. I just like I get good rosters and I like my guys, and then Eric Almirola wrecks, but neither here nor there.
That's on. But we're gonna do it Thursday this week.
Again,
it sounds like.
we're gonna be doing the NASCAR one a little bit early this week. But anyways, but yeah, so like just figuring out what tournaments you want to play week to week, that type of thing, I think is definitely something that you either need to on the front end. Probably it's better to do it on the front end. Is figure out what you want to do. So like if you're
willing to spend.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to put in $60 a week, then the birdie's perfect because it's $60 a week. Like I mean, if you pop off, exactly, it's like 10, 20 grand. Most weeks it's 10, 20 grand top. So if you kill it, but the top is it 4, 6, a sixth of it
to what pay
to pay out.
1,000.
No, just to pay out.
Usually top 25% of the field.
Top 25%. So yeah,
25% of the field.
If you finish in the top 4, fourth, not 4, then you're gonna pay out. So that's definitely something good to look at. Anyways, moving on to 9K. This is where I think.
So I guess going back, did we have a pick? Did you have a pick on the 10K range? Who's your favorite on this range? Because I'll give you my favorite.
Rory's my favorite every week.
Rory's your favorite every week?
Every week.
I want to play Rory. I like Rory. I think Rory probably makes the most sense out of these guys. I'm going to be playing Jon Rahm this week. I know you don't like Jon Rahm. I know.
He's not playing well either.
I'm going to be playing Rahm this week.
I know he's number 3 in the world.
Probably comes in the lowest owned on this list.
Or is he 2 in the world? I don't know.
And yeah, I think I'm going to have an outsized portion of Rahm this week.
I don't know.
I know you can tell me about it
so
Saturday.
bad at the workday. He played so bad at workday.
When he misses the cut, we'll talk about it Saturday morning.
But nonetheless, yeah, I really like Rory, and like I was saying, I really like Xander.
Although Rory was saying after the tournament on Sunday that he needs to make a change, which I guess historically has meant he's going to fire his caddy.
His change is that he's going to win.
Yeah, that would be a good change. Who knows if he's going to get a new coach, fire his caddy.
People always be hating on Rory, but he's still better than basically everybody else.
I mean, he played bad last week and finished, 15th? That's...
Haters.
If that's his floor, give me some Rory, too.
Haters. Anyways, moving to 9. I had to go back. I went forward and then back on a slide.
Region. This is. I think you could roster any one of these guys, probably besides Patrick Reed. I'm just a Patrick Reed hater this week.
I'm a Patrick Reed hater all the time. But I have rostered him quite a bit.
His style fits this week. It fits this course.
I don't know in what world you don't think that anything doesn't fit his style. He's just like freakishly good and it annoys the bejesus out of him.
Unless I have rostered him, he is freakishly good. I think that's a factual statement. But literally all these guys
coming off a cut. Yeah. This is perfect. Patrick Reed time.
3 times. Actually, Reed has won off the missed cut earlier this season. I believe so.
And he's only missed 2.
This
is the second one.
Guys in this range that really stand out to me. Bryson is mispriced. We saw Bryson win last week. Look, Bryson is mispriced. All these guys are mispriced, but Bryson is the most mispriced in this range. Bryson should be above 10 after winning last
100%.
week.
I think Bryson is the perfect example of pricing coming out too early.
Exactly. We see this in NFL on guys that play on Monday Night Football that have outsized performances. Pricing usually comes out Monday midday, so guys that put on Monday night, their pricing doesn't reflect that. I think this is the classic example. Pricing came out Sunday, early Sunday or maybe even Saturday? I can't remember.
It was Saturday. It was when we were preparing for the NASCAR show.
Yeah. And so Saturday pricing came out, and Bryson put on and won. Bryson should be 10K or more.
I agree. My fear is the fact that if his driver goes awry.
And we never.
He doesn't not hit.
He
driver.
doesn't need to not. Yeah, exactly. This is a course where he doesn't need to hit his driver. But and Bryson may.
Have you met him? Have you seen him?
We all saw him hulk out on 18 after he won that tournament. Hulk gonna smash.
He scares me a little bit in that regard, but exactly what you said. I mean, at 9,700, I don't know all these guys. Honestly, I was having a hard time not finding Webb, Morikawa, Hovland, Finau. Those were the 4 that I was keying in on most of my plays. but I mean, all of them. Like, I don't think you go wrong with and I think the pricing is so soft that you can get at least a couple of these guys.
You can realistically start with 3 of these guys.
Yeah, and I don't think you're. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these guys play like crap, but like, I don't think you're winning if you don't have at least 2 of these guys. I think the optimal lineup has 2 of these guys at least, if not 3.
I think the amount of win equity that's in this portion amongst these guys is incredible. Yeah. So we talked about the win equity on the top, but the win equity here is equal to or above, and for the roster discount, which is where I start to see if the field is seeing that. That means the top field guys probably aren't going to be the top price guys probably aren't going to be owned as much. Which makes me want to own them. But I think these guys offer just as much, if not more, win equity. Down in this list, like, Cantlay is playing amazing.
Yeah.
Finau playing amazing.
And he was on your whatever list of
P-Dye specialists.
Yep.
Yeah. Cantlay, is on the P-Dye list. Morikawa coming off a win. Bryson coming off a win. Thomas played bad on Thursday, but played really well Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot of my early builds have JT.
I will say, also for like not older guys, like JT's like my age.
Is he younger than me? Yeah.
Is he, I think he's like less than 30 or around 30. I mean, he's old. He's an old statement at this point though. But like somebody like him, like I don't even care how he played last week.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Like other than like the only person that like right now like it's like a little bit of an older statement, even though he always seems so young. They're like I just like wouldn't touch is still Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, Fowler didn't look good. He looked like he had some stuff going on in his head. Yeah, he did not look good.
And I hope he does better because I really like Ricky Fowler.
He's fun to cheer for.
27. He's younger than me. He's a month and a half younger than me.
Okay.
Same birthday as Dale Earnhardt.
And I think 29th. He's got tons of potential. Like I said, a lot of my early builds had JT, and I'm probably going to be getting off him as we go through this week. I think the field is pretty high on him because of his price tag. I love him as a player. I love him this week, but I'm probably going to end up slightly less than.
And that's because you think he's going to be heavily owned.
Yeah, I think
so you're trying to be different there, right?
Exactly. And on the tournaments I'm playing the Drive the Green. I'm playing the Millie Maker. In those tournaments, I probably won't have JT. But in maybe a smaller tournament, like I am playing a couple single entries with fields under 2,000.
Yeah.
I may throw JT in those ones.
Yeah, perfect makes sense. This is another example of random PowerPoint editing coming in and out. I'm going to point out at the very bottom here our Twitter, Pin DFS. Follow it. We are posting. We're trying to post a little bit more content, as we get closer to, because we don't do like a before.
We'd like to see more videos. If there's other videos you guys want to see, we're definitely interested in making some more videos. If you guys want like some short form stuff, let us know.
But now that we don't currently do stuff as you get closer to
roster lock,
as the roster lock, I literally could not think of the word lock right there. But as we get closer to lock, we'll be posting more on there to where we'll be answering people's questions and that type of thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to message us, either direct message or just tweet at us.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll respond. And we'll respond. Yeah, we have. I don't have tons of time, but like I'd rather do that than like other things.
It's definitely more fun than what else
and
I have
to do. So follow us, Pin DFS. Also, our Twitters are below as well. TR Parker 10, John Galt GD, all really well.
Yep, you can see awesome toddler videos.
That's not how I would sell that, but it's fine. Anyways, nonetheless.
Back to the 8K range.
Moving to the 8K range. This is another area where people are just good.
All these golfers are good. There's guys, like, you just have to start making tough decisions and crossing guys off.
Spieth, actually, where did he end up finishing on?
I believe he finished 15th.
He kind of fell off a little bit.
He did fall off on Sunday.
He played really, really well.
Which is how he's been doing the last time, since he's been putting on, or since he's been on his comeback tour. He's put on Thursday to Saturday and then faded on Sunday.
Yeah, and y'all can count him out if you want to, but
I'm probably not going to be big on Spieth this week. There's too many other golfers in this range that I like.
This guy likes Spieth. This guy likes
There's nothing wrong with Spieth.
This guy likes Fitzpatrick.
This guy
likes Jason Day.
Adam Scott. I'm probably killing Jason Day. I'm probably killing Spieth. That's honestly it. I have such a hard time killing anyone else in this range.
Well, you're killing them as you don't want
I'm taking
them
them out of my player pool.
Oh, wow.
So I'm probably going over. I love Scheffer this week, but he might be too owned. Berger, I'm going to go back to Berger. Berger plays well in Florida. He's won recently.
Why don't you like Scott and Day?
It's not that I don't like them. I think I'd rather play Fitzpatrick.
You obviously don't like them because you're killing them.
I'd rather play M. I'd rather play Casey. I'd almost rather play any of these guys. And honestly, as we get lower, as we look at the 7K range, there's guys in the 7K range I'd rather play over Adam Scott and Jason Day. I think they're both good golfers. They're both good on these type of courses. And they may come back to burn me, but you have to start killing players, and I'll kill those two.
I mean, okay. I mean, that's fine. The ones I like on here, I like Spieth, I like M, I like Fitzpatrick. I've dabbled quite a bit with some Day. I don't know. I really like Jason Day, and he just seems like somebody who at some point is gonna hop off again.
Yeah, he totally could. He was world number one.
He's too close. Yeah, like I mean, he already has that. It's kind of what I was talking about. Where Justin Thomas even more so was that it's when you're that good or have been that good, like you don't necessarily just like the big tournaments you just come out for, man.
Yeah, and that he totally could put on this week. I think.
And like it's not necessarily that he's been playing bad. He's not been playing great, but like he's been playing.
He hasn't been a world killer. He's been fine.
Yeah.
But there's for fine. There's a lot of guys lower that I'll take a flyer on and save $1,000.
That's fine.
So speaking of guys, I will save $1,000 on. I like a lot of these guys on this list as well.
They're all really good. Cam Smith missed his first cut last week.
Yeah, in 20 tournaments or something. So
I can tell you it's at least out of 10.
Yeah. So there was another guy. I forget who else missed the cut last week. That was the first one in a long time. Maybe Sergio. I'll have to go back and look. No, Sergio made the cut. Bounce bad. Gonna stop that.
Yeah.
Next week, gonna find a stable camera. So down in this range, there's a lot of guys that are really good. We talked about Smith is really good. Nyman is really good, or Nyman. Willie Z is another guy. The only thing that worries me about Willie Z is he has played an insane amount of tournaments recently.
Yeah, his biggest knock right here is that he has been too good for too long. Yeah. And that's what I've listened to multiple shows of people like every week. They're like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can put him out there, but like, look at him.
He just keeps putting on.
It's just hard not to play him. Yeah. It's just hard.
At his price tag, he's a great value. I think the same with Abe Answer down at his price tag. Yeah. Harry English burned people 2 weeks ago, played well last week. I'll probably be going back to English. Yeah. Sergio, I think, has never missed the cut here in 12 outings, 10 outings, something like that. Okay.
Sergio?
Homa honestly has impressed me. I thought he would fade off after the California tour we saw him. We saw him win in California, and then I think he's finished 7-4. So
he was somebody that I thought was a little bit underpriced. Mm-hmm. So is Zalatoris, but I mean, yeah. Also Kokrak. I mean, these are guys that we've pumped in past weeks, especially Zalatoris and Kokrak. We've pumped in previous weeks and have done really, really well.
And their price is still the same.
They continue to still be the same range. So, they may fall off and they may not be your guy, but it's also the same reasons why we pumped them last week. It's going to be it's hard not to pump them again this week, right?
Yeah, and I'd rather play any of those guys, the guys you just mentioned, over Jason Day or Adam Scott.
Oh, well, I mean,
and I'll save whatever it is, $500, $600, $800.
That's like your opinion, dude. But that being said, I mean, with an $8,300 average, I mean, you really can, you can play, you can literally get 3 of those $9,000 guys, and then 3 of, or probably 2 of these, and then maybe a 7.
Yeah. One thing I think about is making sure I have guys that have a fair amount of win equity. I want to have. You can't build all your roster down in the 7 range. Because I think you limit the amount of win equity you have.
Although, you think so, though? There's
funny
guys
enough,
there.
No, that's totally enough. I mean, the optimal...
I mean, it may be harder, but, there's still guys there.
Absolutely. The optimal lineup in 2019, I believe, the average price tag was $7,600. It left a ton of money on the table. Yeah. You could honestly, you could build a lineup right from this range, maybe a couple guys above.
I will point out that somebody that I have in some of my early ones that you probably think is a journeyman is Justin Rose.
Yeah, he's a journeyman. Yeah,
he's not a journeyman. He's won 4 majors.
I think he might be ranked 7th in the world.
Holy
cow! It's fine. He's a journeyman.
Nonetheless, But
my
Justin
worry
Rose
about Rose is we saw him withdraw last week after he shot that 9 on hole 13, hole 11, whichever one it was. He shot a 9 and then withdrew, citing some lower back tightness. I know people said he was tight early before in warm-ups, so he legitimately might have been getting tight there.
He's actually on one major, but still.
But it's just
he also won the FedEx Cup. What do you want from the guy?
Kind of convenient to eject a tournament after shooting a plus.
Look, we've all had a back injury after we get that type of score.
Everyone says I'm taking my ball and going home, y'all. Deuces.
Yeah.
But we saw him withdraw last week, so if it really was injury related, Justin Rose may be someone I would be probably crossing off. Same with Molinari. He looked horrible last week.
I feel like Molinari is an interesting one because you look at his fantasy points per game. They're not super high.
Yeah.
He kind of, and we've seen what Francisco Molinari can do. We've seen the way that he just walked to the British Open, just even kill to the brim. Played really well against Tiger, the Masters. We've seen what Molinari can do. But that being said, I don't know if he's a fantasy guy.
Yeah.
I don't he's a guy that is going to probably shoot well. Most of the time probably make the cut. And he's made 5 out of 8. But he's not going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of birdies. He's not going to be he's somebody that I'm going to stay away from because I don't know, the thing is, even if he does well in a tournament, he doesn't have that up and down enough to, get those, he's
boom
not a guy
games.
that's going to have, a ton of birdies that, really gets you over. And you see it in his points per game, where he looks like somebody who really probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
That being said, he's probably gonna make the cut. So
and then stepping one down from him to Abe Answer, spending $100 less, you look at someone that does put on those birdies.
Yeah. So
it's hard to play Molinari this week.
I'm very impressed by him as just a golfer in general. But as far as how the scoring of fantasy golf goes, he's somebody that I probably am gonna stay away from.
Yep.
And then these are some of Keaton's favorites, sub 8. I noted a couple as well. A lot of them are the same, but just you want to go ahead and walk through these?
Yeah, I can run through some of the guys. So you can see the list here, but I'll just highlight a couple that I really like.
We've talked about some.
Burns this week. Yeah, I've talked about him a couple times. I am probably going to be heavier than I should be on Burns this week after he killed me last week. I think he's just too talented. He plays too well at these type of courses. I think his ball striking fits these courses. Siwoo Kim is a guy we talked about that's just great on Pete Dye courses. Field probably is going to under-own him. Tringale, I found out how to say his name. I heard that early on the Thursday cast. Not Tringale. Who knew? Tringale, he's just another guy that's been playing super well. Bez, I think is what most people have been calling him. Bez has been also playing well. I think we saw him finish 7th last week. Chris Kirk got at 7,000. Keegan Bradley at 6,900.
I'm a big pump on Keegan Bradley.
If he could have putted well on, what was it, Saturday that I think he faded?
No, he didn't fade till Sunday because he played really well on Saturday.
So if he could have putted well on Sunday, he could have won this tournament.
And he's a guy who, again, he's somebody who's been around a little bit longer, and so bigger tournaments, he's not going to just
crumble under the pressure.
I have him on my short list. Another person that I've noted is Brandon Grace. He won at Puerto Rico.
Yep.
He played well last week. He didn't play as well on the weekend, but he was there on the weekend but I think he played well on Saturday. And
Sunday
so he's somebody who it's $7,000. He's definitely found some of my lineups.
Yep.
But I mean, a lot of my sub 8 guys are very similar. It's hard to miss Connors here with how well he's played.
His putter was super hot last week. If there's any reason to fade
but he's played well before that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in good form. Yeah,
it's not just like
he randomly played well. Super heavily owned. That would be if there's a reason to fade him. People will want to own him after seeing him top of the leaderboard for most of the week last week.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that makes total sense. Neesmith, somebody who missed the cut last week.
But he's
could come back. I mean, he barely missed it too.
And statistically, he's a guy that should fit this course. He should have fit the course last week.
But I mean, these are guys. I mean, you look at I have a few rosters of it right now, or like Keegan Bradley or Neesmith at 67, 6,900. Like, I mean, you're able to get anybody you want.
Yeah.
At the top with your remaining 5. You're able to get 3 of those $9,000 guys, or one of the 10s and 2 of the 9s, and then
a couple of 7s and throw in
with the 7s and 8s.
Naismith or whatever. Yeah.
And so I mean, there's a lot of options, and I think it's good and bad in that there's not a clear path to victory, and there never is, right? But normally when we're the past few weeks when we've been looking at this, it's made a little bit more sense. I think
it's pushed you more towards a stars and scrubs build. I think this week doesn't push you as much towards a stars and scrubs build. I think this week really put the build pushes you towards a balanced build, which makes me want to force a stars and scrubs build.
I definitely have a lot of lineups that finds one person in this range.
Yeah, I can see myself finding 2 guys in that first tier range, and then trying to fill up from there just to get different.
Yeah, you're not
capture
gonna.
Win
There's
equity.
probably not gonna be a ton of Rory Shoffley line. Maybe there is, but
Rory and DJ. Rory DJ starting a lineup is probably pretty
Rory
unique.
DJ is so expensive as somebody who tried to make that roster a couple times. It's really expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, you could probably do it, right? I don't know.
I agree.
I have to see what it leaves you, but I'm guessing it leaves you enough that you could probably round out with all these guys here.
100%.
4 of these guys and DJ and Rory, and then
you don't have to get 4 of these guys.
Really, you do 3 of these guys and someone else more mid tier. Yeah.
I tried to do 4 over 9 though, but it did not work.
So some of the times, I've started building rosters where I start low with some guys that I feel good about low, starting with Bez, starting with Kirk, and then maybe adding an 8K guy, and then your average at that point is probably 9,500, 9,600, and you can pretty much, like Rick said, get any of the guys at the top you want at that point.
Yeah.
So this is a fun week, but know that DraftKings is doing it so that you enter more rosters. Yeah. I'm probably going to have a higher percentage this week. I know we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago with the no cut event.
Gamble responsibly.
That is responsible gambling week.
Responsible gambling week.
Or month possibly. They might have given it
Shout out to March.
Thinking about ownership this week is going to be hugely important, especially if you're entering some of the big DraftKings contests. So good luck.
This is our last slide, right?
This is our last slide, yeah.
Okay.
So leave us a comment below, like the video, let us know who your favorite picks are this week. Let us know your DraftKings thing so we can follow along this week. And good luck to everybody.
Yeah,
and happy birthday to Ricky.
Oh, yeah, it's also my birthday.
If you made it this far, say happy birthday, Ricky, in the comments.
But no, thank you everyone that's watching. If you know anybody that may or may not enjoy PGA DFS or
NASCAR DFS,
pump this to your friends, and help us grow our little
fledgling channel.
We aren't called fledgling. It's just started.
Yeah, fledgling. That's what fledgling means.
No, that means it's going to die.
Oh,
can we look up? We're gonna look up fledgling real quick, and we're gonna see if we can call it
baby channel. If you've made it this far,
a young bird that is just fledged.
Yeah, there you go. We're a young bird that's just fledged. That's
we thank you for joining us for the fledgling part of this. Anyways, nonetheless, like, subscribe, comment, share, etc., etc. Like us on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter right here. TR Parker 10.
JD.
And pin DFS all the way at the bottom. Most of it. I mean, you'll probably be able to see it if you follow our individuals, but it'll all be in one central location.
Thanks, guys.
Keaton will figure out how to not shake his camera the entire time, and
we
will have an awesome next week. Thank you so much. Bye.